what really piqued our interest is you just recently released a piece on Kellen Moore. And I'm very intrigued to learn as much as I can. They have so many intriguing fantasy options here on the Cowboys. You got my number one overall pick, one of my favorite value QBs, a potential number one wide receiver. So let's talk about the guy that could potentially glue this all together and put it all into motion, Kellen Moore. What can we expect? I loved what you detailed about Dan Orlovsky's comments. Can you kind of summarize and give our listeners some key points to what you think Kellen Moore is going to be rolling out here in Dallas?
Sure. So Dan Orlovsky, the former Detroit Lions quarterback, now ESPN analyst, was on, I believe it was the Mina Kimes podcast. And he talked about, he obviously shared a season with Kellen Moore up in the Motor City. And, talked about how Kellen is a really sort of innovative offensive mind. I think a lot of college football fans remember Kellen Moore and what he did at Boise State. He's the all-time winningest quarterback in college football history. Obviously, he played all of his eligible seasons there. That does affect that stat sometimes in people's eyes. But Kellen is a guy who believes in movement, who believes in spreading the ball, and who understands, seemingly unlike his predecessor and in some ways mentor Scott Linehan, that Dak Prescott has the ability to get out of the pocket and the ability to move and the ability to run. There was a lot of chatter and a lot of discussion that the Cowboys' Week 17 game in New York last season, their big win against the New York Giants, was a meaningless game for the Cowboys as they'd already locked up everything they could for the playoffs. But they played their starters, and Dak Prescott had a career day from a statistical perspective, and there was some chatter that Kellen Moore had a heavier hand in that offensive game plan, as did Jason Garrett. Doug Nussmeier, the Cowboys tight ends coach, who was Amari Cooper's offensive coordinator at the University of Alabama. And so if if you're looking for a piece of data, that's really the one. Week 17 against the Giants, Dak had over 400 yards. He had the great game winner to Cole Beasley. And so he's a guy who I think is finally going to be the one that, lets Dak Prescott run a little, which is exciting.